sat very still on the medical platform. The surface felt cold against his skin, even through his clothes. Around him, strange machines beeped and hummed with sounds he had never heard before. The room smelled like clean metal and something sweet that reminded him of flowers. Across from him stood the medical officer assigned to examine Earth's first diplomatic representative. Looked nothing like any human. His body was made of crystals that shifted colors from blue to purple as he moved. When he spoke, the sounds came from somewhere inside his crystalline chest, translated into Korean by the small device clipped to his ear. "Please remain calm," said. His voice sounded like wind chimes. "This is standard procedure for all new species joining the Galactic Alliance. We have done this examination for 400 different species. You have nothing to fear." Nodded. "I understand. I'm ready." Park stood in the corner of the room, her tablet recording everything. As Earth's lead, she had studied every piece of information the Alliance had sent about their medical procedures. She knew this examination was important. If humans failed the health screening, Earth might not be allowed to join the Alliance. Activated a scanning device. A soft blue light passed over his body. The medical officer's crystals suddenly flashed bright red. "Curious," said. He moved closer to. "Your internal temperature reads at 37 degrees Celsius. This is extremely high. Are you feeling unwell?" Blinked in confusion. "No, I feel fine. That's my normal temperature." Crystals flickered between red and orange, which had learned meant he was confused or concerned. Normal. That temperature would indicate severe fever in most Alliance species. Such heat inside a body would cause cellular damage. "Humans run warm," explained from her corner. "It's normal for our species. We maintain that temperature all the time." The medical officer made a note on his own device. His crystals were still orange. "I see. Let us continue." The next test involved a small device that needed to take a tissue sample, brought out what looked like a tiny needle. "This will make a minor incision. It will heal in approximately 3 to 4 planetary rotations for most species." "Okay," said. The needle pricked his finger. A small drop of blood appeared, collected the sample in a container and set it aside. He marked something on his tablet and then moved to prepare the next test. But was watching his finger. She had expected this. 5 minutes passed while organized his equipment. When he turned back to check the incision site, his entire crystalline body flashed white with shock. "Where is the wound?" demanded. Looked at his finger. The cut had already closed. New skin had grown over it, and only a tiny red line showed where the needle had pricked him. "It healed," said simply. "That is impossible." Moved closer, his scanning device passing over his finger again and again. 5 minutes. Only 5 minutes have passed. This wound should take days to heal. Even the fastest healing species in the Alliance need at least 12 hours for such an injury. Stepped forward. "Medical officer, I assure you this is normal for humans. Our cells regenerate quickly. A small cut like that usually heals within a few hours, sometimes faster." His crystals turned deep purple, which meant he was thinking hard. "Your species maintains fever-level temperatures constantly and heals wounds at speeds that should be medically impossible. What kind of planet did you evolve on?" "Earth is varied," said carefully. "We have many different environments. Humans had to adapt to survive in many of them." The medical officer made more notes. His crystals stayed purple. "I need to run more tests. Please place your hand here." Put his hand on a platform. A screen appeared above it, showing his heartbeat. The display showed 72 beats per minute. Made a choking sound. "Your heart rate is extremely elevated. Are you frightened, anxious?" "No," said. "I'm actually pretty calm right now. That's my resting heart rate." "Resting?" Checked his equipment as if it might be broken. Most Alliance species have resting heart rates between 30 and 40 beats per minute. Yours is double that. Your cardiovascular system is working at what we would consider exercise levels while you sit still. Pulled up data on her tablet. I have medical records for all the humans on our diplomatic ship. Our heart rates range from 60 to 100 beats per minute at rest. This is normal for our species. Was quiet for a long moment. His crystals cycled through several colors. Finally, he spoke. I must consult with the medical council. These readings are highly unusual. No species in Alliance records has this combination of traits. Is something wrong? Asked. Wrong? No, not wrong exactly. Seemed to choose his words carefully. But humans appear to be very different from other species. Your bodies operate at levels that would indicate extreme stress or illness in any other known, yet you claim this is normal. It is normal, insisted. Another medical officer entered the room. This one looked like a floating jellyfish with glowing tentacles. The translator identified her as Morazeth. I have processed the blood sample from the human, Morazeth said. Her voice was soft and bubbly. The results are very strange. Show me, said. Morazeth projected a hologram into the air. It showed blood cells moving around. The white blood cells are incredibly aggressive. They attack the sample container's cleaning agents as if they were dangerous pathogens. I have never seen such a reactive immune response from a simple medical sample. Crystals flashed red again. Humans, I must ask you to wait here. I need to speak with the Alliance Medical Council immediately. After the two medical officers left the room, looked at, did we do something wrong? Shook her head. No, I think we just surprised them. They've examined 400 species, and probably all of them were similar to each other. Humans are different. Different how? Different in that we're still alive, said. She pulled up an image of Earth on her tablet. Most Alliance species evolved on gentle worlds. Stable climates, few predators, abundant food. Earth wasn't like that. Earth was hard. Humans had to be tough to survive. Looked at his finger where the cut had been. So healing fast and running warm. That's because Earth was difficult. Exactly. And I think we're about to show these aliens just how tough humans really are. Through the door, they could hear talking rapidly with other medical officers. His crystalline voice was high and stressed. Smiled. I think tomorrow is going to be very interesting. Looked at the medical equipment around him, and wondered what other normal human traits were going to shock the Galactic Alliance. The testing facility was huge. Minyu Li stood in the preparation room, looking through the thick glass window at the obstacle course beyond. It did not look very difficult to him. There were some walls to climb, a few locked doors, and some balance beams. He had done harder training exercises in the military. Beside him, tapped commands into a control panel. The reptilian security officer was tall, with green scales and yellow eyes that blinked sideways. His tail swished back and forth as he worked. This is a standard physical stress evaluation, explained. His voice was raspy and deep. We use it to understand how different species respond to challenging situations. Most species complete it in about 30 minutes. Understood, Minyu said. He stretched his arms and rolled his shoulders. In the observation room above, watched with other human staff members. She was a medical officer, and she had a feeling this test was going to surprise the Alliance representatives. Next to her, and a dozen other alien medical officers prepared their recording equipment. The human seems very calm, observed. His crystals were a curious green color. Minyu used to be Special Forces, said. This kind of test is easy for him. Crystals flickered. After yesterday's examination the medical council had requested more tests on human physical capabilities. The council wanted to understand if all humans had the same unusual biology. His voice came through the speakers. Minyu Li, you may begin when ready. Your task is to navigate through the course and reach the exit door. We will monitor your vital signs throughout. Minyu nodded and entered the course area. The door sealed behind him with a hiss. The first obstacle was a wall about 3 meters high. Minyu ran at it, jumped, grabbed the top, and pulled himself over in one smooth motion. In the observation room, one of the alien officers made a surprised sound. "Did you see that? He cleared 3 meters from a standing start." "Humans have strong leg muscles," said. Minyu moved to the next obstacle. It was a locked door with a simple puzzle panel. He studied it for a moment, then solved it quickly. The door opened. He went through. Heart rate increasing, noted, watching his monitors. Now at 90 beats per minute. "Still normal range for physical activity," said. The next section had balance beams over a foam pit. Minyu walked across them quickly. Then he reached the major obstacle, a heavy door that required strength to open. A sign on it said it was designed for species with twice the baseline alliance strength. Minyu grabbed the handle and pulled. The door did not move much. He pulled harder, still stuck. "This is where most species must stop and request assistance," said through the speakers. But Minyu did not request help. Instead, something changed in his body. Could see it happening even from the observation room. His breathing changed. His muscles tensed differently. His pupils grew larger. Minyu's adrenaline had kicked in. He grabbed the door handle with both hands, set his feet, and pulled with all his strength. The door groaned. Metal scraped against metal. Slowly, the door began to move. "Impossible," whispered. "That door requires mechanical assistance for most species." Was staring at his monitors in shock. His heart rate just jumped to 160 beats per minute. His blood pressure has spiked. He should be in medical distress. "He's fine," said calmly. "His body is just responding to the challenge." Minyu got the door open enough to slip through. On the other side, he faced a wall that had small handholds for climbing. Without pausing, he started climbing fast. His hands gripped the holds so hard that his knuckles turned white. Halfway up, one of the holds broke. Minyu's hand slipped. His body swung to the side and his arm scraped against the rough wall. Blood appeared on his skin. Every alien in the observation room gasped. But Minyu did not stop. He did not even look at the injury. He just kept climbing with 3 good holds, adjusting his balance. When he reached the top, he pulled himself up and kept going. "He is injured," stood up from his seat. "Why does he not stop? He must be in pain." "He probably doesn't feel it much right now," said. "Adrenaline blocks pain signals." "Blocks pain? That is a biological function." Crystals were flashing multiple colors rapidly. Minyu reached the final obstacle. It was another locked door, but this one had no puzzle. It was meant to be opened from the outside after a species signaled they were ready to exit. The Alliance designed it this way to prevent exhausted participants from hurting themselves trying to force it open. But Minyu did not signal. He examined the door, found where the lock mechanism was located, and kicked it. Hard. Once, twice, 3 times. The lock broke. The door swung open. Minyu walked out into the exit area and stopped. He looked around, breathing hard. "Did I pass?" he asked. Just stared at him. The reptilian's mouth hung open. Rushed down from the observation room with a medical kit. "You are injured. Why did you not stop? Why did you continue when you were hurt?" Minyu looked down at his arm. The scrape was bleeding, but not badly. "Oh, it's just a scratch. I didn't really notice it." "Didn't notice?" scanned Minyu with a medical device. "Your pain receptors should have sent strong signals to your brain. How did you not notice?" "When you're focused on something, you don't really feel small injuries," Minyu explained. He seemed confused about why everyone was so upset. Arrived with the rest of the observers. "What were his vital signs during the test?" she asked. The medical officer pulled up the data on a holographic display. The chart showed Minyu's heart rate, blood pressure, and other measurements. All of them had jumped dramatically during the difficult parts of the course. "Look at this," said, his voice shaking slightly. His heart rate went from 70 to 160. His strength output increased by 40%. His pain sensitivity dropped to almost nothing, and his decision-making speed doubled. All of this happened in his body automatically in response to stress. "Yes," said, "we call it an adrenaline response. It's a survival mechanism. When humans face danger or difficult challenges, our bodies release chemicals that make us stronger, faster, and more focused for a short time." Had approached the group. "I have been security officer for 20 years. I have tested hundreds of species. None of them can change their physical capabilities like this. Most species have the same strength whether they are calm or stressed." "Humans evolved differently," said. "On Earth, being able to suddenly become stronger or faster could mean the difference between life and death. So our bodies developed this response." Cleaned and bandaged Minyu's arm. His crystals were deep purple again. "You have a berserker mode, a state where your body overrides its normal limitations. This is terrifying." "It's not really berserker mode," Minyu said. "I was completely in control the whole time. I just had more energy and strength than usual." "You were in control while your heart beat at dangerous levels, while ignoring pain, while breaking through barriers designed for species twice your strength." Crystals flashed red. "What happens when humans are in actual danger? How much stronger do you become?" Minyu and looked at each other. "We don't know if we should tell them about combat situations yet," said quietly in Korean. "Probably not," Minyu agreed in the same language. But's translator caught their words. His crystals turned white with shock again. "There are situations where humans become even stronger than this?" he asked weakly. Nobody answered. His tail had stopped moving. "I need to report this to the Alliance Security Council immediately." As the aliens rushed off to make their reports, Minyu looked at, "Did I do something wrong?" Shook her head and smiled. "No, you just showed them what humans can do. I think they're realizing we're not like other species in the Alliance." "Is that bad?" "I don't think so, but I think they're going to want more tests." Minyu looked at his bandaged arm. The bleeding had already stopped. By tomorrow, it would probably be mostly healed. Just another normal day for a human body. He wondered what the aliens would think of that. The Planet 7 had perfect weather for running. The sky was a soft orange color, and two suns hung low on the horizon. A cool breeze moved across the open plains where the race would take place. Tied her running shoes and stretched her legs. Around her, 20 competitors from different Alliance species prepared for the 50-kilometer endurance race. The event was supposed to be a friendly cultural exchange, a way to reduce the tension after the shocking medical tests on humans. Stood nearby, checking the tracking device that would monitor during the race. He was an engineer, but he had volunteered to be support team. "Are you sure about this?" asked quietly in Korean. "These are supposed to be the best endurance runners in the Alliance. They evolved as persistence hunters. This is what they do." Smiled, "So did humans. We just did it on a harder planet." Across the starting area, a group of stretched their four legs. They looked like a cross between deer and wolves, with sleek bodies built for running. Their leader, a male named, his species did not use individual names, approached. "Human," he said through the translator, "we are honored to run with you. Do not feel bad if you cannot finish. 50 kilometers is very far for a bipedal species." "Thank you," said politely. "I'll do my best." Thus ears twitched in what might have been amusement. He returned to his group. An Alliance official stood at the starting line. "Runners, take your positions. This is a standard endurance test across open terrain. Water stations are located every 10 kilometers. Medical teams are standing by. The goal is to finish, not to compete. We want everyone to complete the race safely." Moved to the starting line. She was the only human runner. Next to her, the looked confident and strong. Their 4 legs would give them a natural advantage, at least at first. The starting signal sounded. They burst forward, their 4 legs carrying them at incredible speed. They moved like water, smooth and fast. Within seconds, they were far ahead of. Started at her normal pace. Not too fast, not too slow. She knew this was a long race. Speed at the start did not matter. By the 5-kilometer mark, they were so far ahead they could barely see them. But she was not worried. She just kept running, her feet hitting the ground in a steady rhythm. Her breathing was even and controlled. At the first water station, they were drinking and resting. They watched as arrived several minutes later. She grabbed a water container, drank some while still moving, and continued running without stopping. The human did not rest, one of them said to the others. Strange. They finished their rest and started running again. They quickly caught up to and passed her. At 20 kilometers, something began to change. They were still ahead, but they had slowed down. Their tongues hung out of their mouths and their breathing was heavy. They stopped at the water station and lay down in the shade. Medical officers rushed over to them. "Are you all right?" one asked. "Hot," the lead panted. "Too hot, need to cool body temperature." The medical officers sprayed them with cooling mist. They rested for 15 minutes before they could continue. Meanwhile, reached the 20-kilometer station. Her shirt was dark with sweat. Liquid dripped from her face and arms. An Alliance medical officer tried to stop her. "Human, you are leaking fluids at a dangerous rate. You must stop and receive medical attention." "I'm fine," said, grabbing more water. "This is normal, it's called sweating, it keeps my body cool." "Keeps you cool, but you are losing so much water." "I'll drink more," said. She drank an entire container of water, grabbed another one to carry with her and kept running. The medical officer stared after her in shock. He immediately contacted. "Your human is in danger. She is leaking fluids continuously." Looked at his monitoring equipment. Her vitals are all normal. Heart rate is elevated but stable. Body temperature is steady at 37 degrees. She's fine. How can she be fine? She is losing water through her skin. "That's how humans cool down," explained. "We sweat. The water evaporates and takes heat away from our bodies. It's very efficient." The medical officer made notes with shaking hands. "No Alliance species can do this. When we overheat, we must stop and rest. We cannot cool ourselves while moving." "Humans can," said simply. At 30 kilometers past for the first time. They were resting in the shade again, their bodies too hot to continue. "How is she still running?" one of them asked weakly. "She should be overheating like us." The lead watched disappear into the distance. "She is not like us. She does not stop." By 40 kilometers was far ahead. They had given up trying to catch her. They were taking long rests at every water station now, their bodies struggling with the heat. Meanwhile was tired but steady. Her legs ached and her breathing was hard, but she had run marathons before. She knew her body could do this. She just had to keep moving forward. At the finish line, Alliance officials waited with medical teams. They expected the to arrive first. These 4-legged runners had won every endurance race in Alliance history. But it was who crossed the finish line first. She slowed to a walk, breathing hard. Sweat covered her entire body. She grabbed water and drank deeply. Medical teams rushed to her, scanning her with devices. "She should be in medical crisis," one of them said. "She has lost almost 2 liters of fluid through sweating. Her muscles should be damaged from continuous use, but her vital signs are just showing normal fatigue." Sat down on the ground. "How long until the others finish?" she asked. "They are still at the 40-kilometer mark," an official said. "They needed extended rest periods. They will not arrive for at least 3 more hours." 3 hours, was surprised. "I thought they were supposed to be endurance specialists." Arrived with more water and a towel. "They are," he said. On their planet, but they can't handle heat like you can. When they get hot, they have to stop. You don't. Over the next few hours, they finished the race one by one. They arrived exhausted, needing immediate medical care. Some had to be carried on stretchers. The lead approached, who was now rested and looked much better than any of the felt. "You won by 3 hours," he said quietly. "You did not rest at all, you just kept running. How?" "Humans are persistence hunters," explained. "On Earth, we used to hunt animals by chasing them. We would run after them for hours, sometimes days, until they were too tired to keep going. We didn't need to be faster than our prey. We just needed to outlast them." The ears drooped. "We thought we were the best endurance species in the Alliance. We hunted the same way on our world, but our world was cooler than this. We never had to run in heat like this." "Earth gets very hot," added. "Humans evolved in Africa, where temperatures can reach 40 degrees or higher. We had to develop ways to cool ourselves while moving, or we would die." Arrived with other medical officers. They had been analyzing the data from the race. "This is the third impossible thing we have documented about humans," said. His crystals were cycling through colors rapidly. "First, you heal at incredible speeds and maintain high body temperatures. Second, you have an adrenaline response that makes you stronger and faster under stress. Now we learn you can cool your bodies while exercising, allowing you to run for hours without rest." "Is that really so strange?" asked. "Every other species must choose between moving and cooling," explained. "We can run, or we can regulate our temperature. We cannot do both at the same time, but humans can. You can run forever as long as you have water." The lead looked at the other members of his species. "We have been the Alliance's endurance champions for 200 years. I think those days are over." Felt a little bad about that. "It was a good race," she offered. "It was," they agreed, "but it was not close. You are built for this in ways we are not." As the sun set on 7, Alliance officials gathered to discuss what they had learned. Humans were not just different from other species. They were adapted for survival in ways the Alliance had never seen before. And they were beginning to wonder what other surprises humans had in store for them. The distress call came in the middle of the night. Captain Song was already awake in his quarters, reading reports, when the alert sounded through the ship. "Captain, we have an emergency," the communications officer said over the intercom. "Omega Mining Colony is under attack. Their life support systems are failing. They have 2,000 workers who need evacuation. Rush to the bridge." Around him, the crew of the human ship Bright Star moved quickly to their stations. He could see the Alliance flagship where Commander Or was also responding to the crisis. Or appeared on the communication screen. The commander's antennae were moving in distress. "Captain Song, we have calculated the mission requirements. The colony is 72 hours away at maximum speed. We would need to operate continuously for those 72 hours, then perform a complex evacuation that could take another 12 hours. Total mission time, 84 hours. "We can do it," said. "No, you do not understand." Or's voice was sad. "Alliance crew members require 12 hours of rest for every 16 hours of operation. We cannot maintain performance for 84 continuous hours. We will try, but many of the miners will die before we can reach them. I am sorry." Looked at his own crew. Han sat at the pilot station, already running calculations. Bay, the medical officer, was checking supplies. Every human on the bridge looked tired. It was the middle of their sleep cycle, but they were all focused and ready. Commander Or said, "The human crew can operate for 84 hours. We can save all of them." Or's antennae stopped moving. "Captain, that is impossible. No species can function at high levels for that long without rest. Your crew will make mistakes. People will die." "We won't make mistakes," said firmly. "We will save them all, trust us." There was a long pause. Finally, Or said, "I want to believe you, but I cannot risk those lives on hope. The Alliance fleet will do what we can." "Then let us work together," suggested. "Your ships and our ship. We will handle the operations that require continuous attention. Your crew can rest in shifts." "Or thought about this. Very well, but I will be watching. If your crew shows signs of failure, I will take command of the operation." "Agreed," said. The combined fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed. The journey began. For the first 24 hours, everything went smoothly. The human crew worked in shifts, but even the off-duty crew members only slept for 4 to 6 hours before returning to help. The Alliance crew followed their standard rotation, with each member working 16 hours and then resting for 12. At hour 30, or contacted, "Captain, your crew has been operating well beyond safe limits. Some of your people have only rested for 4 hours in the past 30. They must take longer rest periods." "They're fine," said. He was drinking his 5th cup of coffee. "Humans can function on limited sleep for short periods. We evolved to do this." "Evolved to function without sleep. That makes no biological sense." "Not without sleep," corrected. "With less sleep. When humans were hunters and gatherers, we sometimes had to travel for days with minimal rest. We learned to keep going." Or watched the human crew on his monitors. They did look tired, but they were still working efficiently, making good decisions, and showing no signs of cognitive failure. At hour 48, the Alliance crew was beginning to struggle. Even with their rest periods, the stress of the mission was affecting them. Or himself had not slept well, worried about the colony. But the human crew kept working. Han had been at the pilot station for 6 hours straight, making tiny adjustments to keep the ship at maximum safe speed. Her eyes were red, and she had dark circles under them, but her hands were steady on the controls. Bay had been organizing medical supplies for 36 hours with only 2 short rest breaks. She was moving slower than usual, but her organization was perfect. Every supply was cataloged and ready. "How are they doing this?" or asked one of his medical officers. "They are consuming large amounts of caffeine," the officer reported. "It is a stimulant drug that humans use to fight sleep. They also use something called willpower, though I do not understand what that means biologically." At hour 60, a crisis occurred. The ship's navigation system detected an asteroid field that was not on the star charts. Avoiding it would add 6 hours to their journey, time they did not have. "We have to go through it," said. She had been awake for 20 hours now, with only a 4-hour sleep period before that. "That requires expert piloting," or said over the communication channel. "Navigation through asteroid fields demands perfect concentration. Your pilot has been working too long. She will make mistakes." "I won't make mistakes," said quietly. Her voice was tired, but it was steady. Looked at her. "Can you do it?" Drank some water and rolled her shoulders. "Yes, Captain, I can do it." For 3 hours guided the ship through the asteroid field. Her movements were slow but precise. Every decision was correct. Every adjustment was perfect. She was exhausted, but her mind was still sharp. On the Alliance flagship, Orr and his crew watched in amazement. "She should be making errors," the medical officer whispered. "She has been awake for 23 hours. Her cognitive function should be severely impaired, but she is piloting better than some of our rested crew could." When the ship cleared the asteroid field, finally allowed herself to rest. She had been at the controls for 9 continuous hours. "Get some sleep," told her. "You earned it." 4 hours, said. "Then I'll be back." "Make it 6, said. 5, compromised. At hour 72, they reached Omega Mining Colony. The human crew was exhausted. Everyone had dark circles under their eyes. They moved slower than normal, but they were all still functional, still making good decisions. The Alliance crew, even with their rest periods, was showing more signs of fatigue. Several had made small mistakes. One had fallen asleep at their station. Bay led the medical team onto the colony. For the next 12 hours, she coordinated the evacuation of 2,000 miners. She had been awake for over 30 hours total, with only brief rest periods. But she did not miss a single person. Every miner was accounted for and brought aboard the ship safely. When the last miner was aboard, finally sat down, she was so tired she could barely stand, but she smiled. "Everyone is safe," she reported to. "Good work," said. He was equally exhausted. "Now everyone gets real sleep." The mission had taken 84 hours from start to finish. The human crew had operated the entire time with minimal rest. Not a single mistake had been made. All 2,000 miners were saved. Or came aboard the Bright Star to personally thank the crew. He found most of them already asleep, met him in the conference room. "I did not believe you could do it," Or said honestly. "My species would have failed. We would have saved perhaps half the miners, but you saved them all." "We did what needed to be done," said. "Yes, but how? I have reviewed the logs. Some of your crew operated for over 30 hours with only brief rest periods. One of your pilots navigated an asteroid field after being awake for 23 hours. This should be impossible." Poured himself another cup of coffee, even though he was about to go sleep. He would drink it tomorrow. "Humans can push past our physical limits when we need to. Sleep is important, but we can delay it when lives are at stake. We just have to want it badly enough." "Want it?" Or's antennae twitched in confusion. "You can override your biological needs through desire alone." "Not forever," admitted. "Eventually we have to sleep, but for short periods, a few days, we can function on very little rest. It's not pleasant and we wouldn't want to do it all the time, but we can do it." Or was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Humans run on spite and stimulants. It is the most terrifying thing I have ever seen." Laughed tiredly. "That's probably accurate." As Or left the ship, he made a note in his report. Human endurance is not limited to physical running. It extends to mental endurance as well. They can function long past the point where other species would collapse. Recommend updating Alliance operational procedures to account for human capabilities. In his quarters, finally lay down to sleep. Within seconds, he was unconscious. He would sleep for 12 hours and then he would wake up feeling fine. Just another day for human crew. The Alliance Council chamber was enormous. Hundreds of representatives from different species sat in curved rows, all facing the central platform where the human delegation stood. Ambassador Sora Jin looked calm, but inside she felt nervous. This was the moment that would decide Earth's future. Elder stood at the speaker's podium. He was old, even by his species' long standards, and his voice carried weight in the council. "We have reviewed the reports on human biology," he said slowly. "Humans heal quickly. They become stronger under stress. They can run for hours without stopping. They can function without sleep. These abilities are unusual." "They are adaptations from our evolution," Sora responded. "Earth was a challenging planet. Humans developed these traits to survive." "Perhaps," said, "but we must consider the safety of the Alliance. We have never encountered a species quite like yours. Before we can approve Earth's full membership, we require one final test." Sora had expected this. "What test?" "Disease resistance," said. "When new species join the Alliance, they must adapt to the various pathogens that exist across our civilization. This normally takes years of careful vaccination and observation. We need to understand how human immune systems will respond to Alliance diseases." In the medical bay below the council chamber, 16 humans prepared for the test. Was there, along with Minyu Li and 13 others. They had all volunteered. The human chief medical officer checked each volunteer one last time. "You understand this might be unpleasant," she told them. "These diseases won't kill you, but you'll probably feel sick." "We know," said. "We're ready." Nam, a microbiologist, was working with the Alliance medical team to prepare the pathogen samples. We're using 6 different Alliance diseases, he explained too. They're common across Alliance space. For Alliance species, they cause symptoms similar to your common cold. For new species, they're usually much worse. Define much worse, said. New species typically experience severe illness lasting 10 to 20 days. High fever, complete physical incapacitation, sometimes organ stress. But not fatal. Correct, the Alliance would never use fatal diseases for testing. Was overseeing the procedure. His crystals were a worried orange color. Are your people certain about this? We can take more time to study human immune responses before direct exposure. We're certain, said. Humans have robust immune systems. We'll be fine. The exposure began. Each volunteer received carefully measured doses of the 6 pathogens through injection. Then they were moved to observation rooms where medical teams could monitor them continuously. For the first 6 hours, nothing happened. The volunteers felt normal. They talked, read, and some even slept. In the observation center, watched the monitors showing the humans' vital signs. Everything looked stable. Perhaps humans are naturally immune to Alliance diseases, one medical officer suggested. Wait, said. He was looking at blood samples under a microscope. The pathogens are in their systems. Their immune systems just haven't recognized them as threats yet. At hour 7, temperature started to rise. Then menus. Within 30 minutes, all 16 volunteers were developing fevers. Stood up in alarm. Their temperatures are at 39 degrees. Some are reaching 40. This is dangerous. It's high, but not dangerous yet, said, though she was watching the monitors carefully. Humans can survive body temperatures up to 42 degrees. 42 degrees would cook the cells of most Alliance species. Crystals flashed red. How can you survive such heat? Our proteins are stable at higher temperatures, explained. And fever is part of our immune response. Higher temperature helps kill pathogens. At hour 12, the human volunteers were clearly sick. They had fevers, body aches, and fatigue. But inside their bodies, something remarkable was happening. Was watching blood samples in real time. Look at this, he called to the Alliance medical team. The white blood cells are already identifying the pathogens. They're producing antibodies at an incredible rate. Looked at the display. That is impossible. Antibody production should take days, not hours. And the immune response is so aggressive, their white blood cell count has tripled. Humans evolved with lots of diseases on Earth, explained. Our immune systems learn to respond fast and hard. It's better to have a strong response and feel sick for a few days than to let an infection spread. At hour 24, the Alliance medical officers were panicking. The human volunteers were in the middle of massive immune responses. Their bodies were hot. Their white blood cell counts were at levels that would indicate fatal immune system failure in most Alliance species. The inflammation markers were off the charts. We must stop this experiment, one medical officer shouted. They are dying. They're not dying, said calmly, though she understood their fear. This is a normal immune response for humans. It looks scary, but it's working exactly as it should. In his observation room felt terrible. His whole body ached. His head pounded. He was sweating through his clothes. But he had felt like this before when he had the flu. He knew it would pass. At hour 48, things changed. Fever broke. His temperature started dropping back to normal. Within hours, his symptoms were improving. The same thing happened to the other volunteers, one by one. Their immune systems had identified the Alliance pathogens, produced antibodies, and were now destroying the invaders. By hour 72, most of the volunteers were recovering. Some were already symptom-free, took new blood samples and studied them carefully. Amazing, he whispered. They have full immunity now. Their bodies remember these pathogens. If they were exposed again, they probably wouldn't even get sick. Was reading the same data. 3 days. In 3 days, humans went from no immunity to full immunity. The process that takes alliance species 20 days took humans 3. Our immune systems are very good at learning, said. In the council chamber, was reviewing the medical reports. The entire council had watched the test through live feeds. They had seen the humans suffer through fevers that would have killed many alliance species. They had seen immune responses so aggressive that they seemed like attacks on the body itself. And they had seen the humans recover completely in just days. This is the 4th remarkable trait we have documented, said slowly. Humans have weaponized their own biology. Everything about your species is designed for survival at any cost. Sora stood before the council. We didn't design anything, Elder. Earth designed us. Our planet had diseases, predators, extreme temperatures, and countless other challenges. Humans who couldn't heal quickly, who couldn't push past pain, who couldn't run for hours, who couldn't fight off diseases. Those humans didn't survive to have children. What you see in us today is the result of millions of years of Earth testing us and only the strongest surviving. The council was quiet, finally spoke again. I called for this final test because I was afraid. I thought humans might be too dangerous for the Alliance, but now I understand. Humans are not dangerous. You are survivors. Everything about your biology exists because you needed it to live on your world. He turned to address the full council. I move to grant Earth full membership in the Galactic Alliance with the classification of apex survivor species. All in favor. The vote was unanimous. Sora felt tears in her eyes. Thank you, honored council. That evening, there was a celebration on the human ship. The volunteers who had the disease test were all recovering well, and were sharing stories with the crew. Park found standing alone, looking at Earth through the. It is a beautiful planet, said, but also a terrifying one. So much water, such varied terrain, extreme temperatures, countless diseases. How did your species even survive there? By being tougher than everything trying to kill us, said simply. Crystals shifted to a thoughtful purple. I have been a medical officer for 40 years. I have studied 400 species, but I have learned more from humans in these few weeks than in my entire career. What have you learned? That survival is not about being the strongest or the fastest. It is about refusing to give up, no matter what your biology has to do to keep you alive. Smiled, that's a very human way to think about it. Perhaps I am learning from you, admitted. Later, Sora stood on the observation deck, watching as Earth's flag was officially added to the Alliance banner. The blue and green planet hung in space beside her, the world that had made humans what they were. Joined her, do you think they'll ever really understand us? He asked. Maybe not completely, Sora said, but they'll learn, and we'll learn about them. That's what the Alliance is about, different species working together. Even when those species heal too fast, run too far, and fight off diseases too quickly. Sora laughed, especially then. On Earth, news of the Alliance membership spread around the world. Humans celebrated their entry into a galactic civilization, but across Alliance space, other species were adjusting their understanding of what was possible. Humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never be quite the same.